I'm a vindictive bastard. Not all the time, of course. You don't get to run a convenience store chain without some degree of sympathy. In fact, if you met me, that's the first thing you'd notice. I'm extremely personable. But don't betray me. I will get even with you. Not revenge. Revenge. Okay, you want examples. I played rugby and still do from time to time. I was a lock, one of the second row forwards, tall, well placed, and pretty quick on my feet. So I was chasing a high ball, and a damn number one hit me as I was jumping for the ball, and I went down hard, shattering my shoulder and suffering a slight concussion. The referee ruled it was accidental. The trainer replaced me while my shoulder healed and the team doctor released me. I went back on the field and the bastard smiled at me. The stupid man confirmed it was a deliberate foul, so at the next scrum I carded him. I wasn't sure if it was my fist that hit him and the ref didn't see it, but that was just for starters. Luck favored the brave. Their number one got hold of the ball and went on a clumsy run. He was brought down and the ruck was set up, but he gave the ball back to his scrum half. He was taking his time to organize his backs and I saw an opportunity. I pounced underneath my counterpart in the ruck, knocking him off balance and sending him into the number 8, who landed on the loosehead's arm. Unfortunately for him, he had his hand on top of the ball and the weight of the two boys broke his forearm. I got up with cleat marks on my face and neck, where a boot had hit me, and with my shoulder again bandaged. None of the referees saw anything unusual, and as they were helping their number one out, they stared at me. Since I was receiving treatment at the time, he couldn't know if I had had anything to do with his injury, but I knew, and that was enough. I'm not stupid enough to get into a vendetta. Well, that time I was lucky. The opportunity arose, and the result was better than I expected. I had thought they would land on him and slow him down, so I could finish him off later, but you get my drift. Bang me, and I'll bang you back. Keeping the accounts of the stores gives me a pretty good idea of what is sold and when, and what money needs to go through the accounts. I'm also pretty quick to spot irregularities at the cash register. Most of my employees are wives, single mothers, and students. They are not people who have a lot of income. So, to eliminate temptation as much as possible, they get a huge discount. They can also have expired food, with the condition that it is for their exclusive use. Basically, I try to make it not worth their while to shoplift. The salary is better than average because the stores are profitable, but the perks make their money go further. So, when I saw that my wife was taking a lot of money out of the joint account, I sat down and took note. I make a good living with the stores, so I have no problem with my wife spending money. I don't believe in credit cards, so she uses the debit card, rarely cash. Two other things you should know about me. Despite what the incident on the rugby field may look like, I plan things well. On the field, you take the ball and read the game. Seconds make the difference between scoring or not. Real life is different. That's why I bought the stores that would make me money, not the ones across the road or a few hundred yards away. The other thing is that I loved my wife with all my heart. I needed to know what she was doing with the money before I came to the conclusion that the bitch was doing her own thing. Okay, I know I was already there, but that's part of the vindictive aspect of my character. I assume the worst. Luckily, my rational side is also strong. I might just have a gambling addiction, or I might just be using weed. For all I know, I could be saving up to buy myself a nice gift, or to get ready to run away. How the hell would I play this game? All my stores have CCTV and security systems linked to a computer system. Some of the cameras above the checkouts are almost invisible if you don't know they're there. But did I want them bugging my house? I thought I'd better wait until she was out of the house and check it out myself, get something to work on. The stores pretty much took care of themselves, and I also had office work well taken care of, so I took a little time to myself to think about my next move. I strolled down the main street and entered the phone store. I love gadgets. They were promoting a program to download all the phone numbers from the SIM card to the computer and not lose them. It gave me an idea to get started. It would download everything from our phones to the computer, and then I could look up their numbers. That afternoon, I loaded the software. Sharon, give me your phone. What for? I have a new program that saves all the numbers so that if your phone fails, you can reload them from the computer to a new phone. It saves you having to get everyone's numbers and dial them. Doubt. I think my battery is flat. No problem. It connects via USB, so it's powered by the computer. This shows how useful this tool can be. If it had been a faulty battery or something, it could have corrupted the data. Reluctantly, he handed me his phone. I created a folder for his data and downloaded it directly to the machine. Okay, it's in a folder in My Documents called Phone Numbers, in your name in case you need it. Is there a password? No, go straight to him if you need to. I went on the internet and started looking for classic cars. I fancied an E-Type if I could find one. At the end, Sharon had an overload of soaps and went to make herself a cup of tea. I quickly copied her file and emailed it to myself at work. Normally, I didn't bother to check Sharon's phone bill. It was paid by direct debit. However, things were different. I pulled the folder out of my desk drawer and took it to work. First, I checked her phone numbers. Strangely, I recognized my problem as soon as I saw Steve Riley's name. A quick check of the phone records showed me that she phoned him a couple of times a day. Steve Riley was not only a competitor, but also a soccer player. For me, as a rugby player, that was probably worse. Now I needed confirmation that they were having an affair and using my money to pay for it. I saw no other option but to hire a private investigator. I would have no problem taking time off work, but I'm a big bugger and would stick out like a sore thumb trying to follow either of them. I looked in the yellow pages and got a company in a town 10 miles away. I could have had it from the company that did my security work for me, but they were the best in town and I figured Riley would use them for his stores as well. I didn't want to hire someone with a conflict of interest. I made an appointment and took a couple of photos of Sharon with me. The private investigator was an ex-cop who seemed quite prosperous, judging by his premises. Either that, or a git flash, a bluff in his own way. In any case, all I needed was evidence of unpleasantness, so I didn't need to be Sherlock Holmes. He told me a week would cover what he wanted, and I gave him £1,000 as a down payment. As I was driving, I realized I needed gas and stopped at a small gas station. As I was filling up the engine tank, I looked around and my instinct told me I was looking at an untapped gold mine. I went in to pay and realized it was a husband and wife business. They were in their 60s, and I got talking to them. In short, they wanted to retire but hadn't done anything about it. I asked them the price. I knew it was £250,000 below their potential and told them to ask for an appraisal. I gave them my card. Look, I may be a businessman, but I have to look in the mirror every morning. I may get revenge, but I don't take advantage of people and I don't cheat. Much. A week later, I received 2 calls. One was an apology from Mr. and Mrs. Flanagan, saying that they had been told the business was worth about what I thought it was. They were flabbergasted when I accepted the price and asked for their lawyer's details. The second was, of course, my private investigator telling me that Sharon was playing games, but not just with Steve Riley. She had arranged to meet another man for lunch and then Steve in the evening when I was training. I told the private investigator to get me more details. I drove over there to give the PI another 1,000 and take a look at my new acquisition. The investigator had pictures of Sharon with Steve and the other guy in public, but hadn't gotten anything sexual. I gave him the second installment and told him to get something that could prove infidelity in court, and an identity for the second guy. I sat around for another week, fulfilling husband duties in the bedroom. Hey, a shag is a shag, and you get it when you can. Sharon didn't seem unusually reticent, nor unusually eager. However, oral sex was out of the question. Not that it was unusual during the week. I wasn't worried about STDs, since we used condoms. Sharon was not on the pill because it made her gain weight. The following Friday, I got what I needed. Relative number 2 was a guy named Jim Leonard, a sales rep for a company that sold those packaged products you see in corner stores and stores like mine. You know the kind of stuff. Sewing kits, those little rolls of duct tape, electrical fuses. That kind of stuff. They used her apartment twice that week. Steve Riley and she got a little action in the parking lot while I was training. I had enough to know that my marriage was over. I figured she would be on the rag shortly, so her activity would dry up for a week. I put the first part of the plan into action. I got some chili peppers at the store and extracted chili juice. I smeared the crotch of a few pairs of her panties. The big ones, the ones at the bottom of the drawer, the ones she would probably wear soon. I also took a hypodermic and injected her with some tampons. I had heard that some guys used wintergreen as a joke, but I thought she might smell it. I had no idea if it would work, but it seemed reasonable. Riley played a little indoor soccer at the local recreation center, where I also played sometimes, just to keep in shape. Naturally, I was chastised for my lack of ball skills, but I more than made up for it with speed and stamina. Usually someone would be named goalie, and the position would rotate so that everyone got a good workout. My rugby skills gave me a distinct advantage in goal. Riley thought he could get around me with the ball, and he did. While I was goalie, he was getting close, but he couldn't get around me. He stuck his boot in once or twice and I pointed it out to him, but he just laughed. Then they scored, and we changed goalkeepers. He made the mistake of trying to provoke me, so when he tried to take the ball away from me, he kept coming closer. I was a bit loose with my feet, and I hit him on the ankle, but not too hard. Then, when he had the ball, I inadvertently hit him, and he fell on his butt. I, of course, apologized, made the excuse of not being able to read a 5-game due to speed, and helped him to his feet. Riley wasn't very nice, but the rest of the guys took my side. In the next game, Riley made a hard tackle to try to take me out. I saw it coming and let him go in before trying to clear the ball. As his foot came down where my ankle should have been, his knee managed to collide with my boot. The happy sound of his knee trying to bend the other way rewarded me. Our combined momentum tore the cartilage and ligaments of the joint. She fell to the ground screaming like a little girl. I apologized profusely again. But the others had no sympathy for it. They had seen how he tried to break my ankle and let him know that he had no one to blame but himself. We got him an ambulance. I offered to drive him home. It was the least I could do under the circumstances. He, of course, refused. By now, Sharon had already put on her panties and tampons. Clearly, the chili juice was having some effect. She was, shall we say, a little uncomfortable. She suffered for a day or two before going to the doctor. Naturally, the doctor had no idea of the real cause, but gave her some cream which she hid in her purse. She hadn't fixed all her tampons, otherwise she might have made an association when her period was over. When I came back from soccer, I was sitting on the couch looking like thunder. "You bastard! Who is she?" "Huh? You've given me a dose of syphilis. Who is she? I'll take you to the cleaners. I'll get every penny you've got." It wasn't me. It must have been Steve Riley or Jim Leonard. "What, you know?" he cooed. I opened my briefcase and handed him a copy of the private investigator's report. "Pack your things and get the hell out of my house." "Where am I going to go?" he lamented. "Screw me if I know, but if you gave me a dose, then you're going to screw me." I was really pissed off. As I mentioned before, she didn't use the pill in case she got fat, so we used condoms for birth control. If she had a dose, she'd be shagging the rest of us with her bare hands. She's the one who deserves it. I grabbed the roll of garbage bags from the kitchen and went upstairs to the bedroom. "I'll give you a hand packing," I gulped, and started emptying crates into the bags. I didn't worry about what went in and just dumped it all on top of everything else. I loaded all her stuff into the car, took her keys, took the house key off the key fob, and screwed her in the high port. I closed the door behind her in a boiling fury, grabbed a beer, and threw myself into the recliner. I knew about her infidelity, but confronting her so blatantly set off the pressure cooker. I felt as if my heart had been ripped from my chest. I drank myself into oblivion. The next morning, I woke up with the rest of my life. Surprisingly, my hangover was quite mild. I attribute it to my physical fitness. I went to work rather dejected. I cleared up routine matters and made an appointment with my lawyer. Then I closed my office door and analyzed my options. Oddly, I felt no urge to retaliate against Sharon, Riley, or Leonard. I felt completely discouraged. However, my employees noticed my state of mind and sent Big Jean to interrogate me. Jean was in her mid-50s and was the store's agony aunt. She had seen just about everything and was one of those motherly women who can't take shit. She sat across from me and waited. Okay. Sharon's been acting up and I've kicked her out, and that's it. I'm not going to do anything stupid, so you don't have to worry. Maybe not now, but I know you. I give you some time to get over it and you do something that will land you in jail. Who have you been seeing?" "Steve Riley and a guy named Leonard." "Oh, damn. You're not going to crack skulls, are you?" I laughed. "I actually broke Riley's knee last night." "Oh, Christ, are the police involved?" "No," I laughed again. "We collided in a tackle, playing indoor soccer last night, and he came out worse for wear." He looked at me disapprovingly. "Boss, you have a lot of people depending on you. On top of that, they like working for you. It's about time you grew up a little. You don't need to prove yourself all the time anymore. Shit. All the people come to your stores because they know you're honest. And they know you'll help them if their backs are against the wall. Riley only gets the business because you give him room to trade. This vindictive streak you have goes totally against the rest of your character." I looked at her slightly surprised. It was his turn to laugh. "Everyone knows you play fair, but if you get betrayed, you more than get even. Why do you think you have so little trouble? Now get your act together. Stop looking for revenge and start getting a life. The business will take care of itself now. It's time for you to enjoy what you've built. This is a good time to change your perspective. There will be women lining up for you now that you are back on the market. I'd be beating them if I were a few years younger. If it weren't for your Bert," I let the innuendo hang in the air. Jean was a beautiful woman. "You dirty bastard," she blushed. "I'm old enough to be your mother. You started it." When Jean left, I knew she was right. I had spent my life building a business, but feeling I had to prove myself all the time. It was time to grow up. Even my rugby was trying to prove itself to me. Sitting there, I took stock of my life and made the most important decision of my life. It was time to put away the kid stuff. So there you have it. That's what changed my life. I felt the whole need to get my own back drained from me there and then. My business has gotten to a point where it's as big as I want it to be. I can comfortably manage it myself and still maintain personal contact with my staff. But I have started to expand my social life. I still play rugby, but more for fitness. I enjoy it more now. I've learned to dance and I've joined a hiking group. I spend much of the summer walking around Europe and have met many very agile women. The fresh air and beautiful scenery seem to be quite conducive to establishing international relationships. I guess before you go, you'll want to know what I did to my ex-wife and her lovers. Well, Sharon didn't come out of the divorce as well as I thought she would. I had done the decent thing with the Flanagans, giving them a market price for their business, but I had had to mortgage mine to buy them out and rebuild the gas station. It cost a bloody fortune to get the old fuel tanks out. So when the divorce came through, I had a mountain of debt, according to my accountant. Since we had only been married 5 years and had no children, my lawyer negotiated a separation agreement based on my net worth. She kept the house, but had to assume the mortgage. She had to go back to work and had a hard time keeping up with the payments. She put herself up for sale and dropped off the face of the earth as far as I know. He probably hooked up with some other sucker. I never knew why he went with Riley. Speaking of him, his leg didn't heal too well, and he now uses a cane. Not only is his soccer career over, but it is now shaped like a soccer. Unfortunately for him, his car was stolen that night outside the recreation center. His laptop and briefcase were stolen. It is said that a lot of money was also stolen from him, but he did not report it to the police. Between his slow recovery and the loss of the laptop, he had to put a couple of stores up for sale. I thought it was only fair to help him out a little, since I was partly responsible for the injury, so I bought his 2 best tents. He was getting by on what he had left until the police recovered the laptop and some documents. Now I buy everything from him, to help him pay the IRS. Jim Leonard had been supplying many stores with these miscellaneous pieces. Not mine, though. Somehow, word got out that he was banging Sharon. Apparently, she wasn't the only wife he was pimping, and someone else found out. He got beat up pretty good, but the police had too many suspects. They never managed to arrest anyone. Karma can be a bitch. And for the record, it wasn't me. I was giving a vertical expression of a horizontal wish that night, followed by responding to that horizontal wish. Mind you, Jean didn't seem surprised when she heard the news. Maybe I've grown up.